Whalar, Adweek's 2022 Creator Agency of the Year.
What is the creator economy and why should you care? And how exactly do creators build the vibrant communities their fans love? Well, today on this special episode of Everything is Better with Creators podcast, we are going to find out with one of the most successful creators on the planet. Nikki Garza probably needs no introduction, but with more than 1 million TikTok followers, she is, and in no particular order, a model, actress, LGBTQIA plus advocate, and spokesperson for the body positive movement. She has also built a thriving community of followers who love her outrageous sense of humor and amazing aura of self-confidence. So stay with us as Nikki shares her deeply personal journey and how it has impacted millions of people around the world. Roll intro, please.
Everything is Better with Creators, the podcast that takes a deep dive into all things creator economy. Produced and presented by Whalar. Whalar, we power the creator economy. With your hosts Ashley Rudder, Emma Harmon, Jamie Goodfriend, and Marco Bertozzi.
I am the creator. And this is fresh.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Everything is Better with Creators. I'm Ashley Rudder, your guide to all things happening in the creator economy. Each week, myself or my colleagues, Jamie Goodfriend, Emma Harmon, or Marco Bertozzi will be hosting this podcast. Coming up, we're getting right into this episode with our big interview with viral TikTok star and creator, Nikki Garza. Hey DJ, drop that beat. Just a reminder that Everything is Better with Creators is brought to you by Whalar. The Whalar Way combines tech, talent, and creative social strategy to match brands with creators to produce authentic content that people really want to see. Whalar is democratizing the creative process for brands and creators by empowering a global talent network of thousands of influencers, tastemakers, creatives, and storytellers to connect you to your target audience, making advertising more inclusive, diverse, and effective. Check out more at Whalar. That's WHALAR.com.
And now it's time to bring up the headliner of the evening. Very special. Please welcome to the stage
The Big Interview. Everything is Better with Creators.
Hello, Nikki. Welcome to Everything is Better with Creators. We're so happy to have you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about your origin story, Nikki. Like, I love an origin story, and I know everyone else does as well, because I just would love to know any inspo or core memories that led you to the path that you're on right now.
Well, God, when you said origin story, my brain automatically went to like my villain origin story. I don't know why. I was like, how did I become this way? Like all of a sudden I'm Lex Luthor or something.
I love it.
Okay. Well, I've always been interested in like the arts. Like I grew up doing theater. I went to like a theater summer camp growing up.
Amazing.
Like was always, like the show pony, I guess, of the family.
I love that.
And after like I graduated from college, I was an assistant cruise director for a good chunk of time.
Really?
And yes, I was. I used to host the bingo and the line dances.
I'm finished. I love that. That's a very important
Yep.
role. You're keeping everyone happy on board.
It was, it was fun until it wasn't. Like by the
Gotcha.
time I told the same bingo joke, I think the 5,000th time, I was like, I think I'm ready to leave. I think I'm done with bingo. And so when I left the ship, I wanted to get back into like performing somehow. And I moved to Atlanta because I had either family in Jersey or in Atlanta. And I was like, I'm going to have my money go further living in Atlanta than in like New York.
Got it. Yes, true.
Okay,
It's
so yeah,
pricey. It's pricey in New York. It's the truth.
it was. So yeah, I moved down south, started like doing theater, acting, and
Mm.
and I really, I mean, I joined TikTok, which is like my major platform, at
Right.
the beginning of the pandemic for like just a way to do something creative um during the pandemic, so I
Oh,
did fall
okay.
like into a depression hole. And I literally, it was just like, for me in the beginning, it was just like, okay, you can just get out of bed and make a 15-second video just every day. At least you're doing something creative. And like, that's the whole reason I got onto TikTok.
You just kind of fell into it. It ended up being an outlet during an important time in your life, and it just ended up taking off from there, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, because I was on Instagram, and I was like, doing Instagram, but like I don't know. I think I connect more with video than I do with pictures. It's
Mm.
just,
Mm-hmm.
that's just how I've always been. And like throughout the years, people are like, you should do YouTube. And I was like, okay, but like I don't want to edit. So
Right.
no, thank you.
Right. Because that's
And
a whole situation.
that's a whole thing. That's, like editing, that's a whole other
Yes, it is.
skill.
It
And
is.
it was just not one I wanted to pursue or learn, apparently. I was like, yeah, I hear you, but that's not for me. And then TikTok came around, and I was like, oh, I can edit like 15 seconds to a minute easily. So yeah, it was just so funny because then when when my community grew on TikTok, so many of my friends were like, remember when I told you to do video content? And
Yeah.
it's just like, yes, everyone, thank you. Yes, you told me. Thank you.
Like, come on, from summer camp to being like community manager on a cruise ship, like you were born to be on TikTok and so much more. But wow, is that your platform?
It's, because, it's so wild when I think about it, because like, I grew on TikTok when we were like in the quarantine,
Mm-hmm,
so
mm-hmm.
like I don't really, I think my brain doesn't like grasp like how big my community is, because when I was doing it, I was like doing it for me, like in the confines of
Mm-hmm.
my like home, when we weren't, when we were pretty much quarantined. So like now I'm just like, oh, over 1 million people, like my brain just not cannot grasp that at all.
What, I mean, now that you are, you've seen the success that you have, and like you said, you started off just, speaking from the heart. Do you have a strategy? Do you put any, like, what's your process? Like, what do you put behind the content that you make? Is there a strategy? Is there a content calendar? Tell us all of the things on how you go about being a creator.
There definitely is not a content calendar. I am like a contained chaos. Like I like, so much of my stuff is on the calendar. Like when I create,
Mm-hmm.
if I feel like if I stick to a calendar, I don't know, like something in me rebukes that. It's like I see that calendar, hate it. No.
Right.
But like if I could just create freely, then it just comes more naturally, and like I appreciate that content more. When I am forced to be on a content calendar, I don't know, it like gives me anxiety and somehow like stifles my creative brain. So the way
I get that.
I go about like creating it is like, normally like I will, scroll through like my For You page or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and like I'll see like what kind of trends are happening or trending sounds, and I just, like save them, and then figure out like how to work whatever that sound is or the trend is to like my niche.
I love it. I love it, Nikki. I'm telling you, every creator is so different. And that's why I'm obsessed with these conversations, because it's just so interesting to hear what everyone's creative process is. And I love that yours is really based on the platform itself, wanting to be entrenched in that community, that you are like, okay, I like that. I'm seeing that. And now, because it's more real time. And that's pretty huge.
Oh, you know what? I'm like, thank you, because it's like the only way that I know. So I was like, I don't know how other people do it differently, because I'm just like, I can't. Like the second I'm put in any kind of like contained parameters or anything, I all of a sudden like just shut down, and my brain's like, nope, don't want to do it. No, no thoughts, empty head. just pretty.
How would you describe, in your words, your niche and your pillars of brand equity behind your content and your community? What's important to you and what's important to them?
Yeah, I mean, my main thing is body confidence. My whole reason of being like online is to be like the representation I didn't see as a child. Like I've always been plus size growing up. I so like, being like a small, chubby girl that's also, realized she was queer really quickly and Latina. It was just like there was no one in the media who represented me. So like majority everything that I do is just like to be that representation that I didn't see growing up. Because like growing up, I was like, like even looking back now, I was just like, who was like the plus size representation? Like, oh, I can only think when like I start going back is like Queen Latifah. I was like, but like
truly.
that's it. Or even like if we're thinking like a younger, it would be like America Ferrera. But if you look back now, past the gaze of like the early 2000s, like fat phobic lens, you're like, wow, America Ferrera actually wasn't ever chubby. It was just like whatever the media had like put on her.
I would love to hear about how adding creator to your resume has, affected those other parts of your resume.
I think it was like, what is it? Like, there's no bad exposure. I mean, it was like there's no bad news is all whatever. Like, there's no bad exposure, I guess. Like, even for when you're like in the entertainment business, I guess. So it's been interesting because like to me, like I've been a trained actor for like a decade, but now when people recognize me, they're like, oh, the TikTok star. And like in the beginning, like I was very like off put about that because I was like, no, I am an actor. Please, please. And like at this point now, I'm just like, you know what? If you know who I am, that is awesome. Because like in this business, it is like, only so few people get to like become to that level.
Sure.
So, but it took me like a good chunk of time to like reconcile that fact of being like, people maybe will not know you as an actor. They'll know you as a content creator, or they'll see you in some kind of ad and know you that way. But like in my little, theater actor heart, it was a big blow at first. And now I'm just like, whatever, screw it. Y'all know me. Let's do it. Yes.
So tell me even more, and tell our followers and our listeners even more about the relationship with your fans and your community. What is that like? And what do you feel like you all are bringing to one another?
You know what? It is so wild to me because the TikTok, like to me, like the way I interact with my communities, it feels different across platforms. And I don't know why that is. Or maybe it's because like I treat them as different platforms. But like on TikTok, I just feel like it is real, like there's no facade. And I've talked about this before, but like Instagram, like low-key sometimes gives me anxiety because I think Instagram had that period where it's trying to get out of it now, where it was very like curated and stuff. Now looking at Instagram kind of like give me anxiety because on TikTok, like I could go on there and I'll be like, yo, I've been depressed and haven't left my bed for 4 days. And everyone's like, yes, me too, girl. And like we can connect on that. But like if I did that, and I don't know if I did that on Instagram, it would be felt the same way, or it's my biases in my own head on Instagram that I'm just like, I don't feel that like that same response would come that way.
Truly.
But it's been so interesting, like the community that I do have on TikTok. Like it's, when I don't post for a while on TikTok, people will come into my DMs and they're like, hey, just checking up on you. Are you okay? And stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. You know, like other things got busy and I haven't had time to make videos, but like, thank you. And,
That's
you know,
amazing.
and like some of the videos I create, you know, are like very vulnerable. Yeah, like I talk about mental illness or, you know, like disordered eating or, you know, just body image in general, which could be like a very vulnerable subject. So I get all these like DMs and I'll get emails from folks like talking to me about like their disordered eating or their mental illness or, you know, like, oh, you know, watching all your videos inspired me to like wear two-piece for the first time. And it's just like, you know, sometimes I forget that it's not just like a 15-second I'm just putting out into the void because I think, you know, it's easy to be like, oh, upload a video and go about my day and not to actually like think of like who's seen that video and like how it resonates with them. And so when I get these like DMs, I'm like, oh, wow, like we're doing something here. Like we're actually doing something.
Right.
And it's just been wild to see like over the course now of like 2 years of folks being like sending me pictures of like, look, I brought my first two-piece or look, I'm wearing my first crop top or, you know, like small things like that. And it's across the board of like all ages. Like I've had 8-year-olds message me and then I've had like 70-year-old women who have just like, I never liked my body. I didn't even like to look in mirrors, but like seeing the joy you have in your body has like started to change my own relationship. And I'm just like, oh my God, what? I'm just making these videos for me, but okay. Like
incredible.
It's just wild to think how much impact these videos have, especially because like you don't see these folks, you know, it's just like putting it out there and going about the day. But like when you get these messages, you're like, oh wow, like we are a community.
Who knew how powerful and massive and by volume like the thirst and the craving for that type of content would be? But you're out here changing the world, Nikki.
It's you know, like, and I can tell you stories and you can say that, but like my brain still can't just grasp the like enormity of it because it seems too simple, you know, for me to put out like an 8 to 20-second video and like be changing the way people think about themselves. But like on the flip side, when I joined social media, like that's how I started to also come into like my body was like by watching other plus size creators like on Instagram at the time, like, you know, just post pictures in like cute clothes. And I was like, oh my God, plus size people, we got cute clothes. What? So it's just so interesting how it's just like a full circle and how it just feels so simple but yeah, like folks are just making these big changes for other folks on social media.
I'm loving it. So I have to run down some of your incredible partners. I mean, come on, Dove, Savage X Fenty, Fabletics, Amazon, the list goes on and on. What have you learned through your experiences with working with those brands?
It's always so interesting to see like how brands like approach, I guess, different creators or like specifically me. Like some are just like, yes, like, you know, your audience, go with it. Or some are just like, no, stick to this. You know, it's just working with brands has just been so interesting on that side, but also coming from like an actor standpoint, where it's just like, wow, like y'all are coming to me now. But when I was an actor, I was just like, please, can I have a crumb? Please, can I be in the commercial? So it's so interesting now to be like, oh, y'all are coming to me. And now I'm not being like, please an audition, please an audition. So it's been really interesting because I mean, I tell you, like some of the auditions I've had for some of the brands that I actually have now worked with, it's like one time I had an audition where I had to like show us how you would smell a leather seat.
Oh like, my goodness.
So working with brands has been real fun in a way because of the whole, like, it like fulfills like that actor side of me and being like, oh yay, I could be part of a process of, I'm making my own kind of commercial in whatever way my brain wants to make this commercial for these brands.
I'm loving that. I'm loving that. I mean, your work with Dove, I think, and the self-love is so powerful. Did they let you take that narrative and just run with it, or how was that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, they had like a few like bullet points, of course, that they're like main points that they wanted us to capture. But pretty much after that, it was just like, okay, you do what you want. And like for me, sometimes it's just easier to have that like talk to the camera. Like I really enjoy when people send me messages and they're just like, oh, when I watch your videos, I feel like I'm on FaceTime with you. And like, that's how I like it. Because I do want to feel like this is a community that I am approachable, that like this is like a relationship we're creating and a community we're creating. Like I would never want to feel like apart from folks, like they're watching something and and that's just probably me also, like not having that like feeling anxiety towards like massive editing or overproduction. But like I know I enjoy content that's like it's just like real, and it feels like almost that I could have just done it off the cuff, even though
Right,
it's not,
right.
it's not that off the cuff. But like that's the content I enjoy consuming. So I try to emulate that when I make content as well.
Any advice that you could share for upcoming creators and models, and especially specifically in the Latin community and the LGBTQIA plus community, what would you put out there as advice for them?
My advice is to just do it. And like this is even advice for me, because I think sometimes as creators, especially if you're like new, you think like I need everything to be perfect. I need the perfect lighting, or I need a newer phone, or I need this fancy camera. But like the more you delay, the more excuses you make. It's just like you're just stifling your creativity for like whatever excuses you want to make. Like if you have an idea, just put it out there, and like even if it doesn't blow up and it gets low views, like that's in the beginning how I started to, like, literally it was just putting something out there just so I could be creative and like feel fulfilled in the beginning of the pandemic. And like looking back now, I mean, people had already told me for years to do video content, and I was like, no. But like looking back now, I was like, okay, well, what if I had like had done that? So I think it's just like, don't wait. If you want to create. And it could be just whatever that is, like filming makeup tutorials, or just a get ready with me, or whatever it is you want to do. Just create, because all of us will always find excuses to stall. And like and at the end of the day, like what are we stalling for? Like
Right.
Especially on TikTok, like, okay, you still might, on your first one, you still might get 100 views. And like, when you think about it, if I'm in a room with 100 people, like that's a whole lot of people. So
Seriously.
even if you're just reaching 100 people or 50 people, that is still a big amount of people. And I think sometimes we do get caught up in like vanity metrics about like views and likes and stuff. But at the end of the day, to be successful and to like have longevity in the creation space, is just like you have to find your why. Like, why do I even want to be on here? Why do I even want to create? And then just to do it.
You have been an absolute joy. Thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing your advice. And I'm rooting for you. I'm a fan, and you'll be seeing me in your comments, Nikki, I'm sure with many others. So thank you so much for joining us on Everything is Better with Creators.
Yes, thank you for having me, and going down this like now I'm pumped up. I'm like, yeah, let's make a video.
We hope you've enjoyed what you've heard and will come along with us as we navigate this journey to the promised land of the creator economy. Make sure to subscribe or follow our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or wherever you like to listen to audio. And of course, we'd love a rating and review if you get the chance. Sending all the love and appreciation to Nikki Garza for joining us today. And make sure to check out more from Whalar and all things at the intersection of a talent network, brand partnerships, technology, and creativity at Whalar.com. And of course, join our community by following us on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I'm Ashley Rudder. We'll catch you next time.
You see, I am the creator.
Everything is Better with Creators is produced by Whalar. Whalar, we power the creator economy. Learn more at Whalar.com.
Whalar, Adweek's 2022 Creator Agency of the Year.